United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, first thing on the agenda is approval of minutes. We have the regular Board of Selectmen's meeting for January 19th. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the Board of Selectmen's regular meeting minutes Tuesday, January 19th, 2016.
Do we have a second? Discussion?
We have a small change, third page, section B, subsection B, I think it's the 17th line. Most contaminations found, dearest should say nearest to the river. That's the only thing I found.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, Board of Selectmen special meeting on January 28th. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Yes,
Discussion.
I would like to make an addition under page 2, set budget schedule. That's blank, however, it should read the board discussed availability and we'll be scheduling budget workshop sessions throughout February. I'm not sure why I didn't put that part in the minutes, I apologize.
Oh, okay, so we know who to play.
Yes.
Okay.
What's
All in
the minute?
favor, all in favor with that change?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Correspondence. Just to let everyone know, the town was served with a summons to civil court last week. Plaintiff was the United Public Services Employees Union, and the town and the state was the defendants. This has been, for correspondence, this has been referred to the town attorney for action. You have town leaders, I'll read this in the last, because this will take some time with the thing from inlands wetlands. You have correspondence from Connecticut Water that you can read at your leisure. I did compile from the state, I did get the different types of incidences from the state police, 14 and 15, so that we can compare. And I will say in 14, we had 26 burglaries, and in 15, we had 15, so it went down by 11. So, Steve, you had requested that, and
Thank you.
this is what they got, so it gives us a benchmark so we can compare for future years. The town was served by Messier's Survey LLC, having to deal with the River Junction Estates LLC for the inland wetlands hearing that will be tomorrow. So the town was notified. We do have a vacancy in the WPCA. Normally, when we have a vacancy, the vacancy gets turned into the town clerk. The town clerk does turn around and notify, normally whatever party the vacancy is being created by has 30 days to fill it, so whether it's Republican or Democrat, it's supposed to go out to them, and then it comes back to us. The 30, if they don't fill it within the recommendation to us to appoint. The Board of Selectmen goes out and appoints somebody, all right? I don't currently, this did not go, it's been well beyond 30 days, because the letter was received November 19th. So it's well beyond the 30 days, which was a vacancy on WPCA by Sean Brissett that became a member of the board then. So it is up to us to appoint. I'm gonna reach out to whoever between either party, if we can, if somebody comes up with a name or anybody on the board to find a vacancy, you know, for WPCA, hopefully we can find somebody that's on the line, because it is a utility that is used. And we will do our diligence, and whoever has something, we will entertain.
I do notice on this that it was, actually was prepared in November, back in November, but you only got it January 26th.
Yeah, it came to us from the town clerk's office, because the town clerk received it on November 19th.
Kept it to myself.
Yeah, it could have been with the transition, whatever may have happened, it just never worked its way towards us, because it should have gone out to the share. We do have, I did receive a letter from Halloran Sage LLP from attorney Ken Slater in reference to River Junction driveway permit application. Basically, it's directed at the selectmen and the board. As I indicated in my letter of December 14, 2016, it's my opinion that my clients Galen, Jason Livingstone, and Donald and Melissa Pimentel are the owners of property over which River Junction has sought a driveway permit from the selectmen. River Junction holds no easement over my client's property, and my opinion, and the opinion of the town attorney, the section of proposed driveway over my client's property is not a public road. For that reason, my clients request that any application by River Junction to construct a driveway over their property without their permission be denied. And that was dated January 27th. So we have that correspondence. And in relation to that, Mr. Baird did send us tonight Thompson Ordinance Enforcement that regarding the River Junction LLC driveway permit. He cites various things in the ordinance, and I'm just paraphrasing the different sections. He's also citing the letter by the town attorney, and that based on the criteria, the same thing that we should deny this driveway permit. So Mr. Baird would send that. Okay. Now, at the request of, from our last meeting, by Mr. Walsh, he asked that we would read in the letter that was addressed to the Inland Wetlands Commission the night of January 6th. And I said that I would, and it is as follows. Dear Miss Morano, it has been suggested to me that it might be helpful to you and the agency if I were to update you on my continuing research as to the status of Star Road. It is my understanding that the application you have before you tonight is limited solely to private property, but I thought in the view of ongoing research and interest in this matter, it certainly wouldn't do any harm to submit to you the current status of my research. First, let me say that I clearly understand that an inland wetlands agency is not a land court or any type of court whose function is to determine land titles. However, there has been significant controversy and a significant number of opinions and various conclusions as to the status of Star Road. The records of the town of Thompson for miles of locally maintained roads have been maintained for 60 years or so, and to the best of my knowledge, all such records have been filed with the Connecticut Department of Transportation. It is my understanding that currently Star Road shows as 0.15 miles improved, which would be the paved portion of Star Road up to the cul-de-sac. These records are generally considered to be important and generally reliable because these are the records under which the town is reimbursed by the state of Connecticut for local roads that they maintain. It is also my understanding that an inquiry has been made on both the current town highway foreman and Mr. Deans, who's served as highway foreman for many years, and both indicate that there was no town maintenance beyond the cul-de-sac area. It is my understanding that a number of people have indicated that they feel the Star Road runs as a town road all the way to the Rhode Island line. The attorney for the opponents of the application have submitted an opinion together with title research and supporting documents indicating he feels that Star Road as a town road is limited to .15. To the best of my knowledge, subject to further research, there appears to be a consensus that no one has found anything which indicates that Star Road or any portion of it was ever formally discontinued by the town. On the other hand, I am not aware of any research which indicates that Star Road was ever formally accepted by the town through the town meeting process. Neither of these items is detrimental, if I'm saying that right. A town road can become a town road in any one of several ways. The two most common being acceptance by a town meeting or by use and maintenance, and the finding that a road is of a common convenience and necessity. Even if a road becomes a town road, the status as a town road can be lost either of two ways. It can be formally discontinued by a writing signed by selectmen and ratified by town meeting. That clearly has not happened. A road can also lose its status by abandonment, as Attorney Slater admits in his submission to the town. Only a judge can make a final determination that a road has been abandoned. There are a number of court cases that deal with the factors involving abandonment, and without being unduly technical, they include both non-use and non-maintenance of a property over a significant period of time. I would be happy to submit a much more technical analysis in the future if it is required, but I thought this information might be helpful as a brief summary. In view of the town aid road list, the statements of town staff from the highway department, and the potential costs to the town in terms of liability and maintenance, as town attorney, I do not feel that the section of Star Road beyond the cul-de-sac to the Rhode Island line is a town road of the town of Thompson at this time. Very truly yours, William H. St. Okay. Last but not least on correspondence, I have set the budget schedule up. I will make one modification on times. They start on Monday, February the 8th at 11 a.m. Tuesday the 9th at 11 a.m. Wednesday the 10th at 12 a.m. Thursday the 11th at 9 a.m. February 17th, which is a Wednesday, at 5 p.m. And then Thursday, February 18th at 9 a.m. Scheduled, there may be more added as necessary. We will get these posted and get them up on the website as soon as they are official with the town clerk. Okay, from the, anybody else got any correspondence?
I don't.
Keep going, you're doing good.
Gee, thank you. Okay, from the list of to-do things from the last meeting, there was discussion about the assessor's position. That will come up during the budget process, and that has been scheduled to discuss that, what to do for the long term, so that's, will be taken care of. The article in the Villager has been submitted,
Yeah.
and it has been uploaded to the website by Tina this evening.
And will be not asking.
Okay, will be, saying correctly.
What section? Not sure yet. I can't upload to that section.
Oh, you can't, so we gotta get clearance. All right. All right, we will get that administrative rights in order to get that uploaded. hopefully the article will be in the first edition, which will be coming out this Friday. I took care of the letter from Attorney Sainouch that Mr. Walsh requested. Mr. Bear did mention numerous issues, and one of them was the fire advisory. I do have a chairperson in mind. I do have to go over to see what has been done on the charge, so that way I can update the chair, and we, as a board, can appoint that chair for the next meeting. So we will get that back up and going. There was various things on the website as well. I've been looking at the website. There are numerous things that do need to be taken care of. We're compiling a list so that way we can get it done. The bid will be tonight for the WPCA. We have that corrected, and the redevelopment was all set. Just to let everybody know, the town hall function analysis will be started this week. This was a product of NECOG, where they come into the building. It was brought up under the past administration, and I've gotten John Filchek, that we're a member of, to provide the information to do a hall function job analysis and review, which will aid us into being more efficient as they compare that to other towns and methods that they may do, or we may be doing them 100% and we're good, and they may take something from us. So that will be started this week, and I will get that information back to John, and at that point he'll schedule interviews with everybody as he goes by department. So that is on a positive note there. I currently don't have anything else. With anybody else on the selectmen's comments? Shana, Steve?
Are we on the correspondence or selectmen's comments?
That was selectmen's comments.
Oh, there, okay.
Yep. Just we have
Merged
one.
in. Okay. The only thing I had is that the first article in the Villager should be coming in this week. I think I didn't meet the deadline. I asked the editor what that deadline is, and I haven't received response yet. So as soon as I know, hopefully that'll help us get in a more timely fashion. The next one that we're working on is the article pertaining to the transfer station, as recommended by Steve, to let everyone know about our initiative to really pump up and get people excited about recycling as a cost-saving measure. So that one should be finalized in the coming days, and I can send both of you that through email prior to submission. Also working with Lynn Landry upstairs on that portion to hash out the details about the signs to be donated, possibly by local businesses. The other thing is that I did leave a message with the inspector at the chief state attorney's office. Wanted to request that she provide us with information as to where the correspondence that I filed currently stands back from September of last year, what that process actually is, and if there were any additional documentation that she needed from us or the town. So as soon as I hear back from her, I will certainly update you both. And that's all I have.
Okay, and actually, this is really a point I think you might bring up on the telephone poles.
Oh, go ahead.
That were, well, you know you have the up-to-date, I just know Wilsonville Road.
Oh, okay.
You were right, or I think Paul Bear was the one who brought up the issue that there had been damaged ones that needed to be replaced, and you all know that it needed to be fixed, and I think it's now, the power is now moved to the new pole. I don't know if the old one's been removed yet or not, but it's underway.
All right, I'll touch on that. I did speak with Sean Johnson, who is our Eversource CLMP representative. Gave him the pole that was supplied, and whenever there's a pole and they do a temporary repair on it, before anything can be done with the pole, the utilities and Eversource has to remove the wires and transfer them over. It always starts with CLMP because they're at the top of the pole, and that's the stuff that's live. Then it'll go to cable, then the AT&T, and once those are all done, they will come back and remove the damaged pole and do it. What he did tell me was, if anybody sees anything out there that has been repaired, where it's been a temporary repair, to look at the pole and see if anything has been started to be removed, as I just described in the process. Sometimes they do get behind and they forget that it's out there. It happens, if you bring it to their attention, if you bring it to the selectmen, I'll get a hold of him and we will get them on it and get a time frame. The other thing too is, which we will have more discussion as it goes on, if anybody sees any of the streetlights that are out, I mean, everybody lives in various sections of town, if you see a street light out, take the pole, cross street, you can go right on the Eversource site, on the services, and file a repair order for the street light. Just from here going home, I called in 7 of them in the past 2 weeks that have been out. And they're out within 48 to 72 hours and have them repaired unless the light needs, serious repair and parts that they don't have. But since everybody lives in their own neighborhood, if the light is there, call it in. We're paying for the light whether it's on or off, so I'd rather have it on, and with all the roads and everything we have, I can't, be everywhere in town at night, so it'd be great if the residents would do that. We'll probably include that in some of our update articles and stuff and make a notation to make people more aware, so if you adopt a street or whatever, if you see something, it's either gonna be AT&T or SNET, get the poll number. If the poll number isn't clear, get the property that may be next to it or the cross street and give them the best description, and they will come out and take care of it. Usually the lights are at dead hills, curves, end of streets, intersections is where we have them, because we did cut them back probably in 2010 to save money. But we are paying, I forget what it is, I wanna say it's $14 a month per pole. And we have a lot of poles in town, so since we're paying for them, let's make sure we're getting the light out.
Is there a link that we could eventually have on our website too, so people?
There are citizens' comments on our
So they report
website.
it to you and then you
They
report
put
it to them?
through citizens' comments, correct. And we can, through the selectmen's office, upload and put it in. So, same thing with a pothole, whatever, there is on the citizens' comments, you can put it. We have been getting a few people that have gone out and, have given us praise and have, pointed out some issues, and it's been very helpful. And that comes directly to my computer, and I do respond to that and get back. So, anything else by anybody? Very good.
Thank you.
Citizens' comments. Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin Walsh, Lane Road. And Kenny, thank you very much for granting that request to read that letter into the record from Attorney St. Ange. A couple of things. In the Villager newspaper dated January 22nd, Town of Thompson requests for qualification and proposals, environmental services. Looks like an RFQ, RFP. Requesting bids be submitted for environmental studies on property address 929 Riverside Drive.
The mill over here,
Which mill?
the big mill.
Riverside
by the library.
Complex.
Riverside
Complex.
Complex.
Across the street from the library?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
The status of ownership on that mill is?
It's still owned by Riverside, River Mill, whatever.
So that would be
LLC.
Mr. Andrew Scott then?
Currently, yes.
The same man that owns
That is
the
correct.
building. So now the town is in the process of entering into a second venture, environmental studies, phase 1, 2, 3. This property down here, we're well into it for what, 250,000,
I think it's
200,000, and this maybe might be, say, another 200,000. So now taxpayers' dollars is gonna be going in to do environmental studies on property that is owned by a private citizen. I consider Mr. Andrew Scott to be a very fortunate man. And when you consider well, I'll leave it alone at that point. I mean, there's a lot of money that's being dumped into property that's owned by a citizen whose original intent was to buy these places very cheap on a dollar, invest, and then turn around and capitalize tremendously. And that's exactly how that works. It's pretty much of a clearly demonstrated fact that That's how these folks operate. And again, 400 grand, maybe citizens' taxpayers' dollars, which leads me to my next question, that $400,000 could be used on our roads, which everybody can utilize and appreciate. And so speaking of roads, Winnie on Facebook came out with a list, I think within the last couple of days, of local towns that received allotments from the state of Connecticut for road funding. And didn't see Thompson on that list. Any particular reason?
We get funding from LoSiP and everything for roads.
Well,
That's figured into our yearly budget.
well, no, this is towns that have received, as an example, Killenly received 362,000, Ashford 292,000, Plainfield 290, Concord 243, Brooklyn 242, Putnam 238, Canterbury 225, Eastford 175. I'm just wondering whether or not Thompson got anybody, that's all.
There's nothing that I'm aware of. When was the article, when it came out, Kevin?
This just came out a couple of days ago.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Yeah. It's called the Town Aid Road Funding. Okay?
Town road aid funding?
The Town Aid Road
Aid road.
funding for cities and towns across Connecticut. And I'm just wondering whether they just overlooked us because we're so far north of Putnam, or we're just not getting anything. And if we're not, why?
Let me look into it.
Yeah.
I'm unaware of
It would seem to me that we'd want to notify you, I mean, you know,
I think we're part of Massachusetts.
but we could be part of Massachusetts, good, okay. But yeah, could you check into
I
that?
will.
Okay, and regarding this Star Trail situation and driveway permits and roads, so on and so forth, my question would be is that a little history here, going back into the previous administration, I think it was in late October, early October, a driveway application was submitted to the board, to the best of my knowledge, by River Junction requesting a driveway. And the board at that time, based on some last minute information that they had received from the public, decided that they were not going to pursue it at that time. I'm wondering if that application is still active on file in the Selectmen's office? And if so, based on the letter that you read earlier, Kenny, into the record, and an opinion from another attorney, and when we look at our own town ordinances, one would be driveway ordinance number, if you're interested, 10-053, and a road ordinance number 10-041. I'm wondering whether or not the board is going to promptly address that application and rule accordingly. And if the board is not going to do that, hopefully they would be able to provide us with an explanation as to the delay. Just seems to me, and this is a personal opinion, when you look at our own ordinances, just our own ordinances alone provides enough background information where the board would absolutely have no problem rejecting this application on the spot. That alone. And then if you take into consideration the letter that you just read into the record, Attorney St. Ange's last sentence, to paraphrase him, was such that it is not to be considered a road beyond the .15. You've got a town legal opinion on this now. This board has been aware of this issue since we had the change of the guard, so to speak. And I would like to have the board respond, anyone up there, and everyone up there, as to whether or not they're going to address this. Thank you.
If I may,
Go ahead.
I believe that report didn't list all of the towns and.
I'm sorry?
In reference to the WMY post that you
Yep,
had
okay.
mentioned, it may have been that they didn't list all of the towns in there, but the governor's office did announce Thompson receiving $253,163.28.
Thank you, how's that? That's pretty doggone good, thank you. Well, we're right up there with the big boys. Thank you, Shane. And does anyone on the board care to comment on that?
I'll find out where the permit is and follow up, and I'll report at the next meeting.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks.
All right, okay, thank you, Kenny. Looking forward to your report back.
Anybody else?
Down Pimento, 47.
Anybody else?
Okay, my turn.
No, you're gonna be long, go ahead, Don.
The permit's upstairs in the building department's office. We've been kicking this can for a long time, I'm tired of kicking the can. I hate to say it, you either gotta crap or get off the pot, and it's ridiculous. I'm a taxpayer, I'm a citizen of this town, I brought all this information to you guys. Well, back in 2003, I went to a hearing 2004 with my brother, a wetlands hearing, and Mr. Messier, he's not with us anymore, he said that Star Road was not to be used as a road, and he was gonna put that in writing. 30 days later, the P and Z board, they met with Mr. Rawson and Mr. Messier, and they also put the number one stipulation, Star Road will not be used. It's prohibited to use it. Apparently back then, they also knew it wasn't a road. And that stipulation was number one. How much more information do I have to take days out of work and come to this town hall and go into your town clerk's office and give it to you? Fran Morano, Ron Tillman were on that commission. They're still on the commission. I got a problem when I see the wetlands agent that we have today have to tell Fran and Ron Tillman how to act, what they should do next. They've been on the committee for 13 years. Something is dead wrong when a lady that's only been with us 4 years knows more about the commission than they do. You don't go to all the meetings, but now they're online, so everybody can watch. I see it, everybody else sees it. Something is wrong. If I'm the commission chair, be a cold day in hell, someone's gonna tell me how to run my meeting, how to act, how to present myself. Fran Morano's the chair, she should know how that meeting runs and how the rules work. I was under the impression that she wasn't on that chair for very long, that Marla was running the show, and that Marla knew more than they did. It's the other way around. They're the commission members. They have to mentor the new ones coming in and update them. So I should not have to go to the town hall and dig up stuff from 13 years ago. But I did. And I painted the picture of what took place. And that's what I'm upset about, because this land, they knew who was gonna buy it, they approached them to get an easement. They get this easement. They asked him. He did it. Great for the town, we got 34 acres, called Rocky Brook Estates. Wonderful. When he wanted his 11 house lots, he got them as well. When he wanted his gravel mining operation, he got that as well. There's a picture to be painted here. You ask for something, you receive it. Back then, Mr. Rice asked to buy the Fernal property, he suggested it. It's in the records, we buy it. Here's Miss Word, who wants to protect conservation of wetlands. There's a 50-foot buffer that could have been protected. We chose to accept $10,000, it's in the minutes, for him to mine the gravel to the Fernal property, which is now town property. So we mine this gravel, we get 10 grand. I would like to know what the profit margin on that was. We get 10 grand, he mines the gravel. If we're gonna conserve land, and be so adamant about getting land from Mr. Fernal, and actually make phone calls and write letters and finally get a hold of them because we wanna protect this property, why would we not want that 50-foot buffer of land that adjoins it? It's free, you can't touch it. Why would we let that buffer go? Mr. Dave Babbitt wrote a letter encouraging the P and Z board, and they're fumbling around where we're gonna put the 10 grand. Anybody can read these minutes. If you guys are on the board, Kenny, you're here, we're paying you, go sit down for 6 hours like I did, and read minute after minute after minute after minute, and go work second shift like I've been doing. It's not fair to me. I'm paying an attorney, and I'm also paying the town attorney. I don't care if it's $5. We're all paying the town attorney to come to these hearing after hearing after hearing, and then I'm bringing my attorney, so I'm paying twice to prove to the town of Thompson what they already know that's in their vault. It's getting ridiculous, we want answers. How much more money do I have to spend to prove what's in that vault? It's time, maybe Mr. St. Ange should do some homework. You know I spent money on a title search. It came back that the town don't even own the property. What's going on, guys? You're the board of selectmen. I wanna know what's going on because this is getting out of hand. We're gonna go to another hearing, and if tomorrow that hearing doesn't get settled, we're gonna go to another hearing. For what? If it's not a road, I'd like to know how I can apply to put a pond on your property, build a road on your property, because he doesn't own that property that he's asking to change the water on. It's not his property, and if it was town property, who says we're gonna let him? I don't believe a person could do that, fill an application for property he doesn't even own. That application should be denied anyway, and this is what we're going through. You're dragging us through the mud, and it's wrong. How come these hearings keep going on? I don't understand it, I don't want answers. How can it go there? If you read the minutes, I gave Mr. Walsh a package tonight. There's other people, they told him, you have alternative, prudent alternatives. You gotta go through those avenues first. He left those blank in the application. Last year, he did a harvesting application. He hauled all of those logs out of New Road. We got the evidence, we got video of it, we know exactly what took place. He didn't own the property. 2009, O&G owned all those lots. So how was he able to get all those logs out last year? But he sat here in front of you and me a month ago and told Marla Butts that he has no way of getting those logs out of that property unless he gets a bridge. How can that be true when he harvested last year the same logs and took them out New Road when he didn't own the property then? So somebody gave him permission to do it. And I need to find out about the applications. He's got applications. Once you transfer ownership, that application should be renewed by the new owner. Unless he's a consultant for them, and he's actually the owner, I'd like to know what's going on, because according to the town records I looked up yesterday, he's not the owner of those lots. 1 through 8 belong to O&G Industries. They should be filling out an application. He keeps renewing applications like he's still the owner, but then when it comes to this, oh, I'm not the owner, I have a hardship. Well, which is it? I'd like to know. What is his hardship? Those lots in 2014, John Rice said in the minutes, I thought when we gave you that subdivision, those lots were deemed unbuildable. They all know. Mr. Blackmare, Mr. Rice, Mr. Wurge, they were on the board all those years ago, 13 years ago. It's time to go to each one of those, and I'm asking the board to go and investigate and start talking to these people one-on-one. You know Charlie. You know Bob Wurge. Refresh their memories. Ask them what took place back then. If not, bring them in there and look at the minutes. Something's wrong that we just keep pushing it over. I mean, Kevin made a comment about the permit, and there should have been a discussion. What do you think we should do? You're the board of selectmen, the whole entire board here. You have the ordinance in front of you. You got an email from from Paul Bear. You got information from Paul Bear. You've read the ordinances from Paul Bear. I don't know what else to do. I've been patient. I just think that you're wasting taxpayers' money to have hearing after hearing after hearing. If there isn't a road, he doesn't own the road. how can Paul Lanky say he's the landowner of the section on application 15029? Something's wrong. And I think it's your job as a board to find out what is wrong. How can something go to wetlands if it shouldn't be there in the first place? That's it. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Jim Pimental, 30 Star Road. My son couldn't get in his property when he bought his property. I had to give him an acre of land. He had to purchase it for me. And to get in to make a driveway. It was impossible for him to get up there. I don't know if John went on, but the thing, John's gone, so have a record then. He couldn't get in, so how can the other guy get past him? Cause his land started after my pit. I even moved the pin down 300 something feet. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Mike? Were you dying to say something?
Oh, I am, thank you. Mike Gergel, Walker Drive. I was here a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months, to ask about the buses, if the Board of Ed has been in contact with you about what may happen with the buses if they privatize. So I'm asking again, has the Board of Ed had any contact with the Board of Selectmen about the buses?
Not at this time.
Okay, it's starting to be budget time. I have noticed that the Board of Ed has not requested any new buses for this year either. It appears, at least to me, that the Board of Ed is attempting to deplete the buses, wear them down to almost nothing, so that when they privatize, or want to privatize, they can use the excuse that the buses are not worth anything. I'm hoping that the Board of Selectmen will request 2 new buses this year on the general purchase, or whatever you want to call it. Because the buses will get worn down. We haven't had any new buses in 3 years now. This will be the 3rd year. If they don't request them this year, we didn't get any last year. We might have gotten one the year before, but I think it was 2 vans. And I think a bus itself was the year before that. They
I'd have to go back and look.
I'm not sure of the exact, I know this
As
would be.
far as I know, it was last year they did not put in for a bus.
And we did not get any the year before, we got vans. They're being depleted, they are being depleted, and it's gonna make it very difficult for the town to purchase buses. They usually purchase 2 buses per year, just to rotate the buses in and out, and it's not happening. We are going to be in a dire strait when and if we need them. That's all, thank you.
This is just, my comments just about wetlands.
Can you say their names?
Robert Mann, 15 Meadow Drive. My comments just about wetlands. You know, we have regulations, we have rules, we have everything else, you know, the state has them, they have statutes, they have this, they have that. Even the continuation of the hearing was done wrong. To continue a hearing, they're supposed to set the new date at the hearing. That way, they don't have to put an ad in the paper for the next hearing date. It's supposed to be done at the hearing. They put it off to the next wetlands meeting, then set the date. They should have put an article in the paper for 2/5 also, according to the regulations. That's it. Thank you so much.
Anything else?
John Pimental, 40 Star Road, about the buses. Mr. Jolin's salary, we hired him, if I'm not mistaken, to oversee this bus, the bus company, the highway department, whatever it is. He says he's not in the, you know, that's not part of his job. It's part of his job. And he wants to privatize these buses, I don't know why. I don't think it's a good idea for the town, and I think that, it's not just about Star Road anymore. I'm gonna back up Mr. Kruger in that fight to keep the buses here in town. But you can clearly see, this is done by design. You're not putting anything in for a bus, and I think he's exactly right. They're gonna say that, well, if we privatize, it ain't gonna be our problem anymore. I wanna know the pros and cons of privatization. Does it make sense? Someone should be checking into this. Who is the school committee superintendent to tell us what we're gonna do with our our children and our buses and our bus drivers. We've had bus drivers forever. Doesn't make sense to me to go the other way. Is it so we get rid of the buses, we pay less money for privatization, and then the same money still being paid out for salaries and other things? Because that's not gonna fly with me. If you were gonna privatize and we're gonna save $2 million, that's not what's gonna happen here. We're gonna use the money for something else, and it's never gonna be a savings to the town of Thompson, and it's gonna be devaluing for our children. I don't believe for a minute the bus company's gonna hire all our bus people back. They're gonna do it at first, that's what they always say. Nothing's gonna change. This is our town, we should have some say, and I think that the school committee and the superintendent should not be the one to make that decision himself. I believe it was discussed at the finance board a few months back. Mr. Gillard expressed his concerns about picking people up and not picking this kid up. Well, today, we live in a bad society where, I don't care if you're 14 or 15, they'll throw you in the back of the car and take off with you. So that's what the privatization does. They don't pick people up at their house or close, they go real far, a mile away, expect a kid to walk a mile away. That's wrong, Ken. Something should be discussed. You came on board, Shannon came on board, and I don't know what Steve's campaign was, I really didn't follow it, Steve, and I'm sorry I didn't, but I'm glad you're here. And I hope you're gonna look into this, and you're gonna find out what's going on, because I was in the town clerk's office the other day, and I heard a rumor that it's gonna be privatized in 2017. If it was, I shouldn't have heard that. These things shouldn't be out. They're gonna be out, then he's gonna start talking. He works for us, we don't work for him. And it's time he realized, you know, if you don't wanna work for us, there's the door. We'll find someone else that'll do things right in our town. I don't need him. I'm certain a lot of these other people don't need him. I could care less about the guy.
All right, as citizens, make sure you attend your Board of Education's meetings and express your concerns with the situation. As far as the disposal of the buses, that comes through the town side, and that is through the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance, how to get rid of them. We don't.
Assuming that's even a point.
If it's a point, you're correct. We don't know if it is or it isn't. So if you are hearing rumors, address it with the Board of Ed. That's where, because they're the ones that run that. We just buy the buses on the Capitol as requested. It was brought up last year, why there was no buses in the budget. It was discussed. And the Board of Ed felt they didn't need it, the fleet was good enough. Because the Board of Finance did ask those questions, and I asked those questions as a citizen at the time, because in past, we've always put on a bus or two. That's as far as that goes. It does come through capital. We haven't started our budget process, and that is a capital expenditure. So we will be discussing all of the capital expenditures as we go forward. And I'm sure when it comes in front of the Board of Finance, they will be asking the same questions of issues that you're raising, and that's where you need to be vocal and express when you have a right to do so on the citizens' comments. So,
I will, and
please continue to do so.
my other thing, Kenny, is the tree removal. They took it upon themselves to take these trees down over here on the hill. It looks like a third grader did it, and it still looks like a third grader did it. It's never been cleaned up or picked up. And I heard it was done by the Homeland Security suggestion. A suggestion and telling is two different things. The people were never told about nothing until it's too late. It's too late. Now those trees are never gonna grow back. The stumps are sitting up there. You know, you open a can of worms with me because you got me involved in this town, and if I have to go to every meeting, I will. But I've had enough of what's going on around here. With that, the trees, the mess that's never picked up. Why don't Dr. Jordan, why don't he spend his weekends here cleaning up the brush, because he made the mess. He hired those people, and we paid the price. They would have bought that wood, we gave it away, we paid them. We paid people to make that mess. And we gotta correct it. We're a new board, we gotta correct it. I'm sorry, it's horrible what's going on in this town. We gotta stop this, and we gotta straighten this out. If I have to sit down with them myself, I will. I'm gonna do my suggestions, because I've had enough of what's going on. I can listen to Mike's concerns and everybody else's concerns. If I gotta stop being vocal on this stuff, I will. I didn't wanna be, the pain in the butt, mind you, about everything, but it's getting to the point where if I don't stop talking, other people just, they're afraid to talk. I'm not afraid to speak my mind. And I'm hoping that this new board administration will start speaking your mind. And when I see you go to hearings, like tomorrow you'll be at the hearing, I hope you don't sit there on your hands. Because last time I felt that my selectmen let me down. I was very disappointed that you didn't stand up and say anything in our defense as citizens of Thompson. I was completely blown away by that you sat back and just let St. Ives, they read the letter, but you didn't, I expected more out of you. I just expected you to stand up for the citizens of Thompson. And that's what this is about. It's about the citizens of Thompson, this town. And that's why I'm here. That's why I've been following you. That's why I campaigned for you, because I know you're better than that, Kenny. I know all of you are better than that. I was very disappointed that none of you had anything to say about what's going on. You just sat there. Why go? I could bring a mannequin to come back. It just doesn't make sense to me. If you're really on the side of the citizens, you will voice your opinion. If you're against me, fine, voice your opinion. If you're for me, fine, voice your opinion. Don't sit there and let me think, I don't know what's going on. We need to hear from you. We need to know what's going on in this town. As I want you guys to understand what side of the fence you're gonna be on. That's all I'm asking. There's two sides, the right one and the wrong one. You choose. But that's what I'm doing. I'm waiting for your choice so I can decide what I'm gonna do. I've been too patient, and it's wearing on me. I've had enough. I'm begging you guys to do what's right and speak up for your citizens. Whether I'm right, he's right, whoever's right, speak up and voice your opinion. Don't just go to a meeting and let them bully you around and let them say things. Stand up. Show us what you campaign to do. That's what I expect. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Well, Brian, Vivian Road, I did find out about the trees there. All forestry got paid to do that. And, oh, by the way, they could have cleaned it, they could have just chipped everything and taken it away. But somehow, some way, Board of Education didn't put it in the contract for them to chip it and take things away. Well, now, I was told 6 months ago, I believe it was, that the school was gonna have people there, janitors or whatever they have, clean that mess. And as you can see, nothing has been done. But that's, because I did go up there and I did raise the question, and that's what I was told. But I mean, health forestry could have easily have chipped it and taken everything away. Because that's what they do now. They chip everything, and it goes into pellets. Whether it's pine or it's hardwood, nothing goes to waste. There was no reason for that mess to be left. It was just poor negotiation. That would be the best way to put it, because they didn't put it in the contract that all ground cover should be cleaned. That's what I know about it.
All we can do is do from today forward.
I agree.
And that's the only thing that
I
I can
agree.
deal with at this
Which
point.
means the town needs to get a chipper and chip it, or leave debris, and if some kid goes running over there and falls and breaks something, who's gonna be responsible? The school or the town?
Ultimately, the town.
So I mean, obviously, maybe we need to turn around and say to the school department, we need a few $1,000s from you so we can rent a chipper and have the road crew go up there and chip it. And see if Mr. Jones likes that, where he's giving it back to the town instead of,
All right, point taken. Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Steve?
Steve Benoit, Emergency Management. As far as the trees goes, I have to admit this, Homeland Security did suggest that they should improve visibility up there for the active shooters. And it has improved it a lot, because I was on a roof after they did it. And you can see all the way down here, so the visibility is great. As far as the buses go, I think you already know how I feel about that. I wanna know where the buses are gonna be parked if they do privatize, and where the driver's gonna have to go to get them if we have to evacuate the school. And is it gonna take 5 minutes like it did when they had the drill, or is it gonna take a half hour? I mean, ultimately, it's the safety of the kids. And I just wanted you to know how I feel, and I think those questions need to be asked. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Kevin Walsh, Plain Road, I'll make it very short, very sweet. I don't
Thank you,
mean,
Kevin.
maybe I might change my mind. I do not mean to be insulting to anyone in regards to what I'm about to say. But lots of people asking me, and lots of other folks, are asking lots of other folks, do we have town leaders that really care anymore? And again, I don't mean to be insulting, because I know you people care. I know that. But I think sometimes, in the name of good public trust and confidence, I'd like to see some fire in somebody's belly every once in a while in regards to some of these issues that we have here in town. And yeah, show us that you care. You've been on board now since November, and here we are beginning of February. There's no reason whatsoever, and I've gotta believe that all of you probably know quite a bit about this Star Road issue, though we're not hearing anything. And I'm gonna get the story, well, we have to be careful what we say in public because of potential lawsuits. I say, you know what, let it rip. If the lawsuits come one way or the other, they're gonna come anyway. But please, stick up for us. There's no doubt that Pimentel's got a case here. He's been bringing it to the public for how long now, 2 years? We're looking for some response and some leadership. And again, I don't mean to be insulting, the question is again, do you care? Thank you.
Okay, last call. No, I just got other business. All right, the possible removal contract. Stanley did get us the correct information this time,
yes, we got the correct.
and the total bid is $553,666,
Correct.
and not the $533,
Right.
the second document, so. This is what we need to approve the bid as and award it,
Right.
award this,
It's your approval. The board has already approved it. We have, the board, we're just waiting for your approval. Once you approve it, then we gotta wait for the DEP.
so we're looking at the, awarding the bid of $553,666 to Delray Contracting, Inc. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Discussion?
In the budget, this amount,
Yes.
even though the original projection was far less.
You mean the 533?
Now, the 506, it sounds like the,
Stan can answer that question.
The 506 was an estimated amount that the engineering time bond had said it probably would run around.
right,
And that was like back in 2012. That's
Okay.
when we started. And it came up we ended up with a bid of $553.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's the only contractor that bid on
I
it,
understand.
because nobody else would bid on it, and the only reason why because they're working in Woodstock on theirs,
I
so.
understand.
So we went to the board and got 800,000 for grants, which you guys approved. Between that and the engineering Ryan Bond was able to come up with an agreement with the DEP, they settled it just today. Ty and Bond has lowered their prices a little bit, so the whole project is gonna come to $799.
99.
Within the 800,000
It's gonna be
total.
right under the $800,000
Okay, so
mark.
that's, I guess what I'm
So,
saying, so.
and that includes all the contingencies and everything, so.
All right, thank
So
you.
as far as we
And
know,
that-
everything's
and that's
right
what the
there
the confusion was with the two,
with the two prices.
last
yeah.
week, last
Thank you.
meeting.
Everything should be right in budget at this point.
That's my question. The total amount is in correct, budgeted amount.
Because they've only been approved for the 800,000.
Budget, that's my question.
Thank you for that explanation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Good to go, Stan, we'll finish up the paperwork.
Yep.
That's needed to complete this. Okay, we have a request from the Girl Scout Troop 64007 and 5559, to the Selectmen's Office, Board of Selectmen. For several years, we have sold Girl Scout cookies at the Thompson Transfer Station. During Girl Scout cookie season, we would again like to have the opportunity to sell Girl Scout cookies at the transfer station from 9 to 1 on the following Saturdays in March: 3/5, 3/12, 3/19, and 3/26 or 16. We have several troops involved who will be sharing the time frames. We have sold cookies at the transfer station in the past, so we are aware of the space and safety issues and form. We have a maximum of 4 girls per shift and 2 adult chaperones per Girl Scout safety rules. Selling cookies helps fund programming and activities for the Girl Scout troops for the coming year. Thank you for your consideration of our request. Sincerely, Robin Scannell and Jerry Smaki. This is something that we have been doing for years past, and I would entertain a motion to allow them to continue with their cookie sales.
I still move.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, just make sure you do check in with Elmer, who was ever there on a given day, and be sure where you're placed and meet all safety requirements. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved, you're good to go.